Hi there, English 102 students. This is your professor, Michael Bloomingberg. I want to take this opportunity to welcome you to week 4 in our English 102 class. Coming off the heels of last week where you were working through the Essay 1 outline and learning about writing process, thesis, a lot of information from last week. When you click in the week 4 folder for this week, and I'm just going to remind you that I typically refrained from mentioning due date since I do like to get to use this video for different semesters. I would just stress to you that this week in week 4, there are no submitted assignments due. So you may say to yourself, wow, that's a big change of pace and maybe even a welcome change of pace. But don't confuse the lack of submitted assignments with the lack of work that needs to be done. So there is a lot to be done this week. And namely, what you want to be doing now that you have your outline finished is you want to take this week to actually complete your observation of your location. And remember that you're taking notes, recording data. Really, you want to document as much as you possibly can. You do not want to let the people know that you're observing them or your location. So keep that a little more discreet. You can use your phone to help document if you want to use your notes. But as a word of caution, I would advise you not to video record your observation. That gets into a moral and ethical concern. If you're recording people without their knowledge, that's a violation of their privacy and their rights. So please don't do that. But record instead in note form everything you see, everything you hear, smell, touch, all the sensory details you want to just record, and try to spend close to an hour at your observation site. The more time you put into it, now I wouldn't go any more than an hour, but if you're there for close, you don't have to be exactly an hour, but that'll give you plenty of data to draw upon. We're going to talk next week about sifting through the data and working through drafting. Now, as far as documents in week 4, I have included the cultural observation rubric. And I just do this so that you could get a look at what I'm going to be examining and you could see what I'm looking for in your essay. You don't have to do anything with this rubric. It's more for me to use when I'm reviewing your essay. But when I review final drafts, I will tack in your points earned into each of these categories. So look it over, and I don't think it'll be too surprising since it does go into the instructions that we were able to look at last week as far as the parameters are concerned. So again, you don't have to do anything with this. It's just for your edification as you begin working through your observation and start preparing to draft. You'll know what I'm looking for. Next up is the rewrite opportunity. So the way that this works is I don't ever review a score for rough drafting, although it is a discussion assignment for each peer review. Well, this will make much more sense next week, but I don't actually have you submit rough drafts for grading onto themselves. So you will turn in a final draft, and for either essay 1 or 2, you have the opportunity to rewrite one of those essays, but it does need to be timely, meaning that you need to let me know within 1 week of receiving your score if you want to choose to use your rewrite. And from there, you'll be given 1 week to complete a revision of the draft. But you can't hold that in your pocket and use it at the very end of the semester. So once we get past the week of your score being submitted, once I've reviewed and we're a week past that, if I haven't heard from you via email, then I'll assume you've reached some level of satisfaction and we'll just move on in the process to the next essay. You don't have to use your rewrite. It is just there if you need it. But just note that the rewrite cannot be used for essay 3. So if you do plan to use your rewrite, it has to be essay 1 or essay 2 and within the time frame of a week after your feedback. All right, so that's what we're looking at for week 4. I don't think I really have too much more that I want to add. I will let you know that you do want to start drafting. And so what you want to do when you complete your observation is start looking at the trends and patterns and what the data shows you about your observation. And I'm going to talk a little bit more next week about drafting and maybe what a potential thesis statement would look like. We'll go through some examples, but please know I don't want to catch anyone off guard. Rough draft is going to be due Wednesday of next week. So the earlier you start drafting, the better. It will be a rough draft, so we'll take that into consideration, but you do want to go ahead and get started on that. Remember again, if you have any questions as you're working, to email me. That is far and away the best way to contact me. All right, I'm going to stop sharing. I hope this is helpful to you. You're going to feel this week like you're kind of walking on a tightrope without a net, just meaning that it's going to feel a little odd. You're probably trying to figure out what your observation is telling you, but rest assured, we will go over that next week. So that's all I want to say for this week. Look over the rubric and the rewrite opportunity. If you have any questions, just email me. So take care and have a great week.